Hi guys, welcome back. With the newly released 2-minute opening of the film Sweet 16 now available on YouTube, I've received many questions in the comments asking me about the production of the film, and today I'm here to answer some of them. Now, let's start with the first question. How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? Well, in terms of horror conventions, I wanted to appeal to standard conventions, yet also add my own twist on some. Like any horror film, I wanted to evoke fear of the audience, as that's what most scary movies do. However, I also wanted to ensure that audiences won't leave feeling underwhelmed or like they just watched any other horror film, which is why I wanted to incorporate psychological horror elements as well. Diving into regular horror, one of the conventions I used was the isolated narrative. The two primary settings, the empty house and the quiet forest, are meant to feel lonely yet also secluded, evoking a sense of looming danger. The isolation makes the characters vulnerable to the antagonists of the film, and cut off from any help from the outside, creating tension and buildup. This also ties into one of the other prominent conventions, the supernatural antagonist. Because Eleanor is dead, she is haunting Alice. She is not human, but a ghost, or at least that's how she appears. This amplifies the threat, making her appear much more dangerous, inhuman, and even unstoppable, as she can't be harmed or reasoned with. As for the actual filming, I used a range of conventions from low-key lighting with heavy shadows, and familiar horror sounds like eerie non-diegetic hums and loud sound spikes and stings, to POV shots and close-ups. With these, I wanted to give the audience ambiguous, unreliable perspectives and create suspense, tension, and instability. This also supports the unreliable narrator convention, as Alice's distorted perception blurs reality and imagination, keeping the audience unsettled and questioning what is real. Also, you'll see some key horror iconography, like red in clothing and blood, and weapons, notably the cake knife, to emphasize the sense of violence and danger, so keep an eye out. Now, as for the aspects we steered away from the typical conventions, you can really see this through the psychological aspects of the film. We applied Steve Neal's theory that differences are necessary to prevent repetition in order to keep the audience engaged. This is really portrayed through the plot twist that Alice is essentially the antagonist herself, who killed Eleanor, and these acts of violence are truly just Alice's repressed desires from long-term emotional buildup of jealousy and infatuation and isolation. Eleanor just acts as that alter ego. With this, we are putting a twist on the final girl convention, where instead of Alice confronting the supposed antagonist Eleanor, she is confronting herself. Alice in general is a complex character that subverts expectations in many ways, as her innocent appearance contrasts her brutality and her motivations, while not justified, ultimately stem from a broader societal evil, making her both the victim and the victimizer of the story. While this dynamic isn't completely revealed in the first 2 minutes, we use props like the mirror in the bedroom to show the duality of Alice's character, and use editing techniques to make it appear like Eleanor is fade in and out of reality, hinting at the fact that she is not actually present and only Alice is able to see her, alluding to the fact that the threat portrayed in it is merely psychological warfare. Obviously, with the mental aspect of the film, Alice is representing teenagers that struggle with mental health problems as she deals with denial, grief, and disassociation. Her mistreatment from family and friends, and society in general, resulting in her self-seclusion, provoke her deep desire for recognition. Her sudden hallucinations and acts of violence stem from trauma and a buildup of repressed feelings of danger, sadness, or both. In a society where women and mental health receive little acknowledgement, lashing out is Alice's way of gaining control of her life and proving superior. When creating Alice, I knew I wanted to reflect David Buckingham's theory that genres change and develop social issues of the time through Alice because we knew it would make a compelling story. Another frequently asked question is, how does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text? And to that, I say a key aspect for audience engagement is enigma. The killing of Alice's dog is just the beginning, and we wanted to evoke a sense of curiosity with just each 2 minutes. We wanted the viewer to beg the question of who killed Eleanor in that flashback, and also, essentially, if the family dog is murdered so quickly in the introduction, how much worse are these killings going to get? Another key engagement method is the unreliable narrator. With Alice herself telling the story, cognitive dissonance is created for the audience. They are aware that Alice is unreliable and are forced to decode the story, questioning whether Eleanor is an evil entity or a figment of Alice's imagination. With this, we are transforming the film into a puzzle that the audience must put together. Also, with the subversion of expectations mentioned before, we create a shock factor that makes the audience want to know what happens next, immersing the viewer further. Additionally, the themes of grief, jealousy, and mental instability explored can resonate with audiences because they are grounded in real emotions, even if the actions are extreme. The psychological aspects add a realistic touch that fictional horror films with monsters and excess gore cannot achieve, and that itself is unsettling. When looking at the audience in question, the film is aimed towards young adults who enjoy psychological horror like Pearl or Black Swan, or amateur filmmakers looking for tips on producing low-budget, affordable films. As a real media text, my film would be distributed through online methods. Originally posted as a YouTube video and a trailer, the film is easily accessible and free to anyone. Word of mouth would be spread through platforms like TikTok or Instagram with short videos, edits, and clips made in tribute to the film. Videos like these encourage audience engagement and motivate viewers to actually watch the full film to see what happens. Additionally, bloopers, behind-the-scenes clips, and even cast interviews can be posted across social media to further tease audiences and make them aware of the film. If we wanted to expand the reach of the film, submitting it to film festivals, school showcases, or short film competitions can help build credibility and would be a crucial step to marketing the film and building prestige, so that it's not limited to the reaches of social media.